This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by
Freaking.com.
Mike Tyner, a.k.a. Big Mike, the man who just spent 2 weeks in jail for not assaulting an officer. I was just curious, you've been on Free Talk Live since you got out a few days ago, and, you've done some other... But I'm curious, what's developed just in the last 3 or 4 days in relation to your case?
Well, right now I'm basically just waiting for court paperwork to come from the Superior Court to let me know what the next phase is in that. Other than that, there's really not a lot. There's some things that I'm not talking about intentionally right now, just as I'm waiting for them to develop. And Dave, I'll make sure that I put you in the loop as these things come out. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of waiting to see what's going on with court. I've met with a couple lawyers and talked a little legal strategy, not just with my defense, but maybe an action against the police department and maybe an action against the jail, and we'll see what happens down the road with that. But
you had indicated that your shoulder was injured while you were being dragged around by the police. How's your shoulder doing now?
It's okay. My shoulder wasn't injured actually by the police. I had hurt it somehow or another a couple weeks prior to being arrested, and it was just getting back to feeling pretty good. But, they were dragging me, and I realized that if they keep dragging me around while I was in handcuffs, that it might do some permanent damage. And that's when I decided that I would actually get up and walk rather than make them drag me all over the place.
What's the next thing that happens in this case?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's going to be a probable cause hearing or maybe a scheduling conference to find out when the deadlines are to have any discovery that I'm going to do or any motions that have to be filed before trial. And of course it's going to be a jury trial, so you have to go through the process of selecting jurors. I'll know that, I would imagine, within the next week or two, but I got to wait for the letter. Maybe I'll get a letter that says they dismiss it.
Yeah. And what is what's your main hope of what will come out of this?
I'd much rather have them dismiss the charges than have it go to trial. But if it does go to trial, I'm really looking forward to getting the officer in question on the witness stand. And I hope that I'm found not guilty. I should be. I mean, it seems kind of a petty charge to get arrested for. And I know that I didn't intentionally try to hit that guy, but it's his word against mine, and the police that were there on the scene against the words of the other activists, and then maybe the video that was taken is there. I think the video from a legal standpoint is inconclusive, and I know that the prosecution will have to prove intent, that I intentionally tried to do it. We'll see what the jury says.
Do you have any kind of sense of any discontent at MPD over the way that officer handled this?
Nah, I'm not going to say that I do. I mean, what happens was it was bad, but it's not the first time that this happens, or at least I've seen stories like this before where petty offenses and basically an abuse of power happen to somebody else. It's sad, and I wish it didn't happen, but it did, and now, that's the one thing I say about looking forward to getting the cop on the stand is, I'll be able to have a little bit of payback, I think. But as far as any, personal grudge against the guy or Manchester Police Department, no, there's none on my part.
Well, I just mean, do you think that they have any discontent? I mean, is MPD, do you sense that they're divided over this or that they're all behind the cop?
Yeah, I think there might be a little division there. I don't know that for sure. I talked with a couple of officers since this is since my arrest, and got that impression. As far as any direct ridiculing, I guess you could say, against the officer that made the arrest, I don't know that that's happening or not. But I'm sure he's probably enjoying his pink panties and Band-Aids.
Do you have any thoughts as to what folks can do to help you out or try to keep this thing from happening again, or?
Well, no, not right now. I think I'm okay as far as needing any assistance. Keep showing people the video and let them know that stuff like this does happen. I'm sure for a person that doesn't read maybe the same type of news that some liberty activists read, it might come as a shock that something like this takes place, but it happens all the time. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Dave.
What are you arresting this man for?
You've seen the dramatic Liberty arrests in Keene, New Hampshire.
Now see 111 reasons why you should move there and reinforce these gutsy activists. Keene's advantages are compelling, and the list of reasons to move has just been updated. For details, visit freekeene.com. Freedom is pretty.